Welcome to Mediumship Moments with Kym Durham. Join her as she shares her personal journey with mediumship, connects with your loved ones, and discusses topics dealing with spirituality.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Mediumship Moments. I'm Kym Durham, your host. I'm a second-gen psychic medium, and today I am over the moon. I have someone who is just an amazing person, both inside and out, energy-wise. She is, wow, she's a tornado. She's a force. I have my guest with me, Susan Noles.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Kym. It's so good to see you.
Same here, Susan. You may know Susan from television. She's been on several small screens and big screens. And we'll talk about some upcoming projects in a bit. Why I'm so excited that you're here for many reasons, because you're just beautiful energy, so much fun, is that we have a history dealing with mediumship. Susan was a client of my mom's, Joan Durham.
I absolutely loved her.
Oh, she loved to write back. Yeah, and there's certain clients I remember that my mom would have a pep in her step about that were coming to see her that day, and you were absolutely one of them. She said, "Oh my God, Susan's here. Susan's coming today. I can't wait." And hopefully she's going to listen to some of my advice this time. No, like she would tease about you coming in, and just it would be a blast. And you know, my mom had a schedule that she never adhered to, and when you showed up, it definitely went out the window.
All the rules.
It went out. I'm surprised the two of you did not go out for drinks and cavorting.
Because she was trying to stay professional.
What?
However, I made her go overtime. I don't know if you know this, but the very first time I went, when she touched me and she said, "Oh, honey, I don't have a lot of good to tell you. You don't have to stay." I said, "I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving." Yes, she did. And the things she told me, and I did exactly what she said, and it all happened that night. That very night, she told me to go someplace, and I would walk in, and I certainly did.
Wow.
Yeah, she changed my life.
You know, it's always interesting. These are like little jewels to me that, you know, my mom's earned her wings 14 years now, and she makes her presence known in my life occasionally. I chat with everybody else's moms and dads more than my own. You know, when I hear these stories about how my mom impacted people and how they use that information to steer their ship in a different way, it's amazing to hear. Was working with a psychic medium part of growing up? How did you wind up with Joan in front of you?
I come from an Italian Catholic family, so it was taboo in the Catholic faith for some time. But my family, my immediate family said, "Aren't you scared? Are you going to?" It was my mom's sister, my Aunt Chicky, Yvonne, if you will. We went together. She got the name and we went together. I booked the appointment, and that was the first time. And I saw her every year of my life since. Now I've never missed her.
Oh, and that's amazing, because it's always interesting to me how people start down the road of working with psychic mediums. And, you know, there's been, you know, people that have used this ability both professionally, politically.
Well, I know professionally, I read that when we had years ago, missing children under the bridge or something, and I think it was between Jersey and Philly, and it was your mom that helped them find them. And I was like, I know her. This is my girl. You know, I was so proud. And then the things you do. You shared with me about that young man in the city not too long ago. I guess it was just a couple of years ago. And you shared a lot with me. Remember me asking you, did you know what your Christmas presents were? And would you wrap them in aluminum foil?
Okay. Okay. So you're segueing in a couple of things.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah. So a lot of people don't. My mom kept doing this work and working on murder cases and missing persons, it's a double-edged sword, because, as I have said, not only did my mom, but I put people in prison. And so you want to be careful about what you release.
Yeah, but it comes to you. I mean, you're not making it up. You figure it out and you see it and you feel it. So if they deserve to go to prison, so so be it.
True. I mean, it's pieces to the puzzle that I give the authorities to better
help them.
Right. To put the puzzle together, Susan, is what I say. And my mom worked on so many cases that I didn't really realize the extent of the cases. There are times I look back in my life where my mom was very protective of me. And I didn't understand, like, what is up?
Remember the box when you went to Florida, I think, for the first time? There was a box and the police were involved. You used to see somebody, I think you said in a blue nightgown, and your mom would never make
Okay.
a big thing out of it. I remember everything you told me.
Okay. So the first time I call them angels because it's non-threatening,
You weren't
the whole
scared. Yes.
right. And so when my mediumship started, I was 4. And I saw this woman in my room,
Yep.
and she had white hair, and I said, "Mom, like a blue crinkly," and I
There
made
it is,
this
the blue. Yes.
the blue crinkly dress. And my mom smiled because quite often what would happen is that when she was working with people down in the office or the 4th bedroom, I mean, like
Yeah.
this is before she built the office.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
going way back. That they would pop upstairs to say hi to me. And I was describing one of the angels my mom chatted with. So, and again, I was so blessed, Susan. I didn't realize that my mom was different. Like
You didn't know. Yeah.
she would have parapsychology group meetings in the living room, and people would come and study different parts of this. And whether they were working with the psychic development or their mediumship development. I mean, my mom was such a pioneer, but it was like, oh, she's having friends over, and we had to
Don't touch the Edmonds.
right, exactly. I
Get
love
the
you.
Sanka.
Oh my God, my father with the Edmonds. Couldn't keep him in our house. But get your baths and get to bed by 7 because she was having friends over. In fact, and this is a quick story I'll tell you. I remember they were all meeting in the house, and this is downstairs because we had a rec room. Right. Like we're fancy. We had the upstairs sitting.
They had a family room in their house.
I know, right? And upstairs was the fancy furniture that nobody sat in.
Yes.
But the downstairs was the rec room, right? And this is where my mom would have the meetings. This is long before she built the office. And I remember I was so fascinated about this. I was like drawn to it, but I didn't understand.
Trying to hear,
It was being nosy Nelly.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Now I'm hanging over the steps, and I'm trying to be quiet, and this absolutely happened. It was a little spirit came through, and my mom was talking about this little girl, and this little girl was talking, and so in other words, a spirit's communicating and said she came because of the birthday cup, the candles. It was one of the members' birthday. They had just sang. And so Doris, who was an amazing psychic medium who worked with my mom, God love her. She was so much fun. Oh my God. Those two were like Thelma and Louise.
Like you and I?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, exactly. And so Doris is pretty much communicating with this little girl, and her name was Buttercup. And I remember it.
Aw.
She came through and she said her name was Buttercup, and she came for the birthday candles. And then she made a comment about little girls being in bed. And
They were telling on you?
I got ratted out by a little angel to
I
go
gotta
to bed.
love this.
And then everybody turned around, like, what? Like, because they were so in depth of what they were doing. They had
They didn't notice you.
no. And I wasn't really hanging over. I was like at the top. Nobody could see me because the rec room was on the opposite side of the house. I got ratted out by a damn little
That's
angel.
amazing.
At the age of 9, I was fascinated by this book called Unfinished Symphonies that dealt with automatic writing of classical pieces of music. Like, I didn't realize I was a bit.
They didn't give you that gift?
Thank you. I didn't. Well, I play guitar badly.
Okay.
And I can kind of read music way back when. But yeah, so those are my memories of mediumship being in the house. And again, like, I didn't know any different. My mom just.
Well, you said that she didn't share everything with you till you got a little bit, like,
Right,
I think
age
you were a teenager, a young teenager, was
Age
it?
appropriate.
Yeah,
Age
yeah.
appropriate. Like, I remember, all teenagers are sassy, but I remember wanting to talk to my mom. And I said to her, listen, there will be no exchange of currency. I just want mom the mom and not mom the psychic medium.
Mhm.
And she just looked at me.
I need
know
my
that-
mom right now.
You know that grin that she would give you?
Yes.
And she could
And
raise
you
one
have
eyebrow.
it. You do
I
know
really?
that.
She could raise that one eyebrow, and you were just like, and she goes, fine, if she called me Kimberly,
Kimberly.
fine, Kimberly. And then she helped me navigate whatever crisis I had at that age.
She was a good mom.
Ugh, She was the best. I mean, working the amount that she did, the traveling that she did, the cases that she worked on. I mean, growing up, people were like, "Where's your mom? And is she coming to the game?" When I played softball or basketball, and I'm like, "No, she's in Vanuatu." And they're like,
Where the heck
"Where
is
the
that?
hell, Van who? What?" Yeah, like, and I teased like after she crossed for like the first 6 months, I was like, "Well, mom's just traveling. Like she's
Yeah,
just
that's
out of town.
normal.
She's
Yeah,
just out of
she's
town."
not around right now.
But when she started this in her home and she built the office, and then clients would come from all over, and I was amazed because traffic through Woodbury
I
was
know.
was a
We had to
pit.
put the booties on. I remember my cousin Donna being
okay.
scolded.
Who puts white carpeting in an office?
I would.
But my
it
mother.
looked good.
Okay. I mean, she had little idiosyncrasies that I just sit back and I go, well, we all have a thing. But when I have somebody like you who has that special, amazing energy and connection that can talk about what it was like to sit in front of her, can you give me an example? I mean, like you kind of alluded to, but is there something that, and I know you don't want to keep it, you don't have to go personal, but is there something that you remember, like explain the difference between sitting with my mom and me? Like what is that?
Well, I can tell you the difference in you and your mother. I was asked this once. I described your mother like the light of my life. And you were like a fucking laser beam. I mean, it's night and day, but still the same, if you will.
Okay.
Does that make any sense?
It does for me. We and my mom would work differently than I would.
Yes. You talk to people that have passed. Mom never did that. She told me what was happening. And when I tell you verbatim, she told me to leave there, go right to this place. I'm going to catch them in the act. And I did. She said she didn't know if it was champagne or wine in front of the fireplace or on the floor. Oh, girl, it wasn't champagne. It was too cheap. It was wine and I kicked it over.
Good for you.
But she had told me how many times I was going to be married. She never mentioned my ex-husband's name, but she described him.
Yes.
He was a baseball player. He said we lived in all these places, 3 children, 2 pregnancies. I have a set of twins and a daughter with Dickie. So yeah. So many things out of my life that
it's interesting. My mom, it's interesting that we do things conversely, and I mean this. Most people would go to my mom for psychic information, which is the ability to talk about opportunities moving forward in time
and what to avoid.
Right,
you
exactly.
tell me that too.
Well, thank you. And we all use something different to focal that energy.
Yeah.
And my mom, being the good Catholic girl from Hallahan, would use a Bible as her focal point. And that goes back to when, and I don't know if you know this story, one of my mom's dear friends from the parapsychology group, Franny, amazing psychic medium, amazing. She started seeing clients in her home. And someone brought her up on an archaic law for witchcraft. And she had to go to court. And my mom went to court to speak on her behalf. And that was the catalyst for my mom to start using the Bible, that they could not see her by working with a negative energy. Now, here's the kicker. You know what that town was? Collingswood, New Jersey.
Oh, I got goosebumps again.
I know. Guess where my studio
here we
is?
are in Collingswood.
I know.
Which is an adorable little town.
It is sweet.
I know.
The people here are fantastic. I've been here. I'm not quite a lifer. People have been here forever, but I
been here quite some time since I met you.
Yes, I enjoy it. We moved here and I love it, and it's just a great town. And so my mom would do mediumship demonstration. She would go to different places. She worked a lot up in Bucks County with Audie Kent, who was an author who talked about historical places that were haunted. She did several book series on it. And my mom would pretty much, they'd have, I do dinner with your angels. She'd kind of do dinner with whoever was the inhabitants of
the ghost,
right, of the ghost at the place. And so my cousin, her sister, my Aunt Peggy, who lived in Bucks County, would often go with my mom. Those two driving up, right? The girls and my mom would sit there and communicate with them and do this mediumship gallery. And the fun story is up at Doylestown Inn, I actually went back and did an event in the same room
Where
that-
she was.
where she was 35 years.
Did you feel it? Did you feel her?
That's a great question. When I've worked with other mediums. I go and get my CEUs, right? Just like my nursing. I work with other people to better understand the mechanics
Mhm.
or just to take this ability I have to the highest level.
Mhm.
And on numerous occasions when I've been with other mediums, and these are people I've never met. This is like they're a participant in the class. I'll never forget it. I was working with James Van Prague up in New York. And one of the women that I was working with, we do like one-on-one, and there's exercises that you'll do. And they were dimming the lights, and they wanted to see if you could see people with you, of a guide or somebody in the spirit world.
Right.
This woman described my mom with the platinum hair, shaved to the one.
She saw her, but you didn't.
No, absolutely
Ah.
described my mom there.
Interesting.
And when I was teaching a class for intuitiveness, I was teaching the 3 clairs. There's a clairaudient, hearing, clairvoyant, seeing, and clairsentient, feeling. And they're called the bridge to mediumship. So I was teaching in class. And oddly enough, at that class, I had my niece helping me. She was passing out paperwork and being my administrative assistant, and I loved her to pieces. And my niece turned around and said, Mom,
She saw her
my
too?
mom's here. Yes.
Everybody but you.
Well, I sense
Joan.
Wait, Susan's here. Joan, are you here?
Joan.
Get your butt off the beach and get here. When I need her, that's what I'll say. Because I know her happy place was she had dated this guy who had a place at 17th,
beach.
17th on
Maybe that's
CL,
why
right by
we hit it
Strathmere.
off so well, because I'm at the
Oh,
beach girl. It's
and-
my happy place.
And I teased. I said, all right, Joan, get your ass off the beach. I need a little help today.
Get over here.
And then she knows, okay, pack up my stuff.
But did you see that other woman's people?
Yes. I
but
just
she couldn't. So is
Exactly.
that a thing?
Well, some people are better at being clairvoyant, or let me explain.
Right.
Seeing, so there's 2 ways to see them. Well, there's a couple ways to see them, meaning spirits that have crossed over. Sometimes you'll just see an orb, or I called it like sparklers. You know, the kids that have
Yes,
sparklers?
yes.
So I see like the
Li-
little
flickers.
like there's someone with you now. And
There's always somebody with
you
me.
have a spiritual posse with you,
I
Susan. All right,
swear.
you've got
Just
you
so
have
they're
an
not
entourage.
calling me yet. I'm not ready yet. I'm having a good time.
Right, exactly. They're not here for you. So you may see that. People have talked about, what I get the biggest kick with technology is people use the baby monitors. And I've actually had people, I went to someone's house.
We saw something on the monitor.
This baby monitor and the Firefly, like, look.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they said, can you come to my house and see?
Figure it out.
Figure it out. So I actually went, and I have a video of this. It's pretty cool. And I did something that Chip Coffey would use. He's another psychic medium who deals with kids that are psychic, has a great book about it, but he'll do like little paranormal, like ways to communicate with them. And one way is to use like 3 little flashlights. I had a blue flashlight, okay, a red flashlight, and a gray flashlight. The blue was to blink once. The red was twice. And the gray was the control. And I would turn them on just a little bit to where it was just before it would go off.
Okay.
And so they're videotaping me, and I'm sitting in this person's living room. Sure enough, a little child comes through. I described her. She crossed when she was 11 years of age. She was hit by a car in the neighborhood, and she came to play with the baby.
Her sibling or just a
No.
neighbor? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's funny, back in the day, my mom used to do house parties, right? She'd
Yes,
go to
that's where
people's-
my aunt got her name. Yeah.
Okay. And some clients have asked, and with my allergies, it's tough to go.
Yeah, we always want you to come,
But
Kym, but you're too damn busy.
But you're sweet to say that. But when you can pick up energies of the neighborhood,
yeah.
because I walk up and I'm at this, I'm, as you say, lazy breed, but my energy is just really, really high. And they're like, oh, follow her. She can hear us and see us.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sitting there and I'm talking to this little girl. And then a woman came through, and she had been murdered in the neighborhood.
Did these people know this? The ones that called
No.
you? Oh, geez.
They found
Did you
out
tell them?
and validated all this. Plus the previous owner, who was 92 when he passed, God love him, had these little guys. Yeah, just a sweetheart of a man. So she had all of these angels
I thought you were going to tell me her pop that passed was coming over her or
No,
something.
at the time she still had her grandparents.
Oh,
So these were angels within the neighborhood that were coming just to hang out. But the little girl loved because she'd had 3 little brothers herself.
Oh,
Yeah,
God
right.
bless.
So, but my mom would go to places and do mediumship.
Kim, you told me once you were trying to be on vacation. I believe you said New Orleans, and you couldn't get by this restaurant. You had to go in the back door, and they were all freaking out. And you were telling them, "I have a message."
Yeah,
Remember that story? Obviously, she remembers. She told it to me, but
it's interesting.
they stick with me.
Well, I love that you have the
stick with
memory
me.
of an elephant.
I don't.
It's when people ask me, "Am I always on?" And I'm like, no, because I meditate before I work. I set aside time and intention to do that.
Okay.
But I can turn it
Can't
up,
turn it off.
but I can't turn it off.
Right.
And so there are circumstances where I'm someplace and I'm like, oh, geez,
You were supposed to be relaxing and enjoying
Yes.
vacation.
like I speaking of vacation, I remember being down at the beach and it was in Rehoboth, and there's this gentleman who used to walk up and say hi to us, and he always wore a white Speedo.
Oh, God.
He did. But he was funny as hell, and he was known as the mayor, and he always had jokes.
I love it.
Now, I'm down there with my better half. There's not a soul on the beach. We were like on, like a Saturday, like a Tuesday afternoon in September. There wasn't really anybody there. And sure enough,
Here he comes.
and he walked up to me, and I'm sitting there going, hi. And
he passed.
He had passed. He had
his
just
spirit
passed.
came.
He had just passed.
Oh,
He had passed that summer.
God.
And he came up to me and started talking to me. And I'm going, no one's going to believe this.
Yes,
that I'm on
nobody-
a beach. It's me, myself, and my better half. and forgive me for not remembering his name, but
Speedo.
white Speedo, had the mustache. And I was like, and here he is chatting with me.
I do have a question for you. When
Yeah.
you first started developing your gift, did you ever get teased or people say what's wrong with her? You're making this up. Or did you go through that?
I remember when I was 9 years of age and I was walking home from school, maybe 9 or 10. And this boy teased me about my mom, and he called her a witch. And that was the first time that I was like, I realized my mom was different.
Yes.
And that it wasn't a good thing, or could be perceived
Some
as not being
people,
good.
yeah.
Right. My mom always gave me space. I feel that my mom introduced me through with the Take Your Daughter to Work Day. Like when she did television shows at ABC 6 in Philly.
Mm-hmm.
And it was with Wally Kennedy, and I forget the redheaded woman.
Talk about
name.
a memory like an elephant.
Well, I'm very visual, and I can remember being there. I could ask her questions. I could see her work. I remember, the first time I did a phone reading was.
But did you tell your friends anything, or did you keep that in?
My dearest friend Sharon, who knows me for over 45 years, she knows where all the bodies are buried, so we're good. Love you, Sharon. She knew about my mom, and I remember this one time she was sitting on the front porch, and I was coming over to hang over at her house, and I was like, "Hey, Sharon, how are you?" I said, "Congrats on the baby, your niece. That's fantastic." She went, "What?"
They didn't know. She didn't know yet.
She didn't know. We were
You
there.
didn't realize.
We were like
though?
5 minutes. We were at the house where the phone call comes, and her niece was born.
Oh my God!
And she went and she looked at me. She goes, "Really, freak?
Really?
Like she could tease me
Yeah.
about it, but it wasn't.
She understood
She
it.
never saw it as threatening.
Right.
She really didn't. And I could be me, and that was okay. Back in my early nursing days, I remember being, and this is up at West Jersey Voorhees. It's no longer there. I think they converted it into offices. But it was just a great place to be a nurse extern as I was going to school. And a nurse's station in the middle,
Yeah.
and we had like blue wing, orange wing, things like that. And I remember looking down at the one wing, and I could see, you
knew who was going to not make it off the floor.
So you bring up a really good point. So I'm sitting there at the nurse's station, and there's blue and orange wing, and I'm watching. I can see them, and what do they look like? They could be an orb. They could be a shadow. Not really a shadow. A shadow, but it's more white, luminescent. transparent.
But something that nobody
Yes.
else can see.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of them going into room 10, Mr. Smith's room. And I'm sitting there going, okay, now Mr. Smith's supposed to be discharged the next day. Now, what do I do? You can't really move the crash cart closer.
Mhm.
Do I say something? And I remember sitting there, and one of the nurses turned to me and she said, huh? And she looked at my name. She goes, isn't your mom the
Oh, goodness.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah. And I knew then I couldn't say anything
Mhm.
because I didn't want to be known as the angel of death.
Mhm.
You know, our transition team, that's what I call it, those angels who come to us before we cross,
Yeah.
wherever it happens, however quickly or after a hell of a battle, are always there to help us. And hospice nurses will talk about them being in the room.
Mhm.
You know, you may physically feel them. The patients will talk to them. They'll even see other angels within the hospital. They've described kids
Meeting
and
old
things.
friends.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. So I knew then, Susan, that like, can't talk about this. You know, like,
So you
yeah.
learned
well,
inside all by yourself.
well,
That's amazing.
It
It really is, Kim.
there's a
Own it.
place there. Well, thank you. There's a place for it. And here's the funny thing. I ended up working in a hospital, right? That's the busiest damn place for
Ugh.
energy. They are
You think?
Well, I've actually seen, and I'll share this. I've actually seen doctors who have crossed over, who were surgeons, stand by the surgeons at the table working with them.
How did you work in a hospital? Did you know every single patient, like what was going to happen to them? Like, it's not like every single one, was it? Or was it?
No.
Thank God. You'd be
But
crazy by now.
But one of the surgical techs, I loved everybody at Presby. Penn Presby, God love you. Shout out to you all. You're amazing nurses, surgical techs, anesthesia techs, just amazing people. I had, it was like one of the best points of my life. I learned so much and was loved so well. But Mike, one of the surgical techs, like so if we're doing a procedure, we'll have a shopping list of the instruments that we need for that procedure.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's always a surgeon's preference. Well, let's maybe have this, or there could be a plan B. Well, especially
If this happens, we're going to need
we're going to need those. And so I remember Mike saying and teaching other techs, listen, when Miss Kym says have plan B, have plan B.
Oh, because they think it's going to happen because
Yeah.
you said it. Was that the case usually?
Well, I had a situation where I talked to it. People do not, I lovingly tease, people don't die in the OR for insurance purposes.
Yes, thank you very much.
Get them to the
Hang on.
ICU. Just saying, folks. It's a bad joke, but remember,
It's cute.
you know, when I dealt with, OR humor.
Mm.
And I remember this situation where we had somebody up in the lab. We had a patient they had done surgery on. I was in there on call for orthopedics, but I was doubly trained to do both cardiothoracic and orthopedic.
Okay.
So we had a situation where this woman was not doing well. We suspected bleeding,
Mhm.
and she was crashing. And they brought her in what's called reverse Trellenberg, which is like her head's lower than her feet. And Ted, God love him, the PA, is throwing betadine on her because we're going to have to open her up. And
Ugh.
Mike, and when you open up for an open heart or, there's a lot. And he's
Mhm.
pumping away and he's working his best, even though he was trained in orthopedics. He could get the field set up. And this is before they became trauma unit for the cardiac nurses to get there. And so the cardiac nurses come, we're doing the case. And I could see the woman standing in the corner of the room.
Watching.
And she starts to talk to me. And she's telling me she has a son. He's 11 years of age, that she was from St. Louis originally, bum, 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 bum. Now, Ted, who's at the head of the table, is telling me the sutures are just disintegrating. Like we can't, like she's not staying. Like we're trying. When I tell you they worked their ass off to keep her,
But you knew the whole time.
Well,
Because she was
there.
Yeah.
And I often talk about when people are crossing, the body is like a spaceship. The astronaut on the spacewalk is what I see when the spiritual body is leaving the physical body, is how I can describe it.
Okay.
Ted said, listen, we've got maybe 15 minutes to get her to her husband. So she's talking to me, and I am doing whatever I can to pretty her up, to get her to ICU so he could say goodbye to her.
Oh God,
And that is,
that's a lot.
yeah,
That's a
that's
lot.
a situation where
God bless you.
me being a medium or having this ability and being walking both worlds, if you
Yeah.
will, working in the operating room and then
Did
and
I
then
tell
that.
you she's amazing?
Oh, stop! You're
No, I'm
she's
serious.
my biggest fan. She's
Nah,
my
I
biggest
just
fan.
love you. But that I love these stories.
Yeah, well, thank you.
I
And
do.
you know, you're so easy to talk to. You really are.
Thank you.
So give me an
I
idea.
got you sidetracked. I'm
Ah,
sorry.
no. Yeah, listen. We can
I
sit
went
here.
back to childhood.
We can talk forever.
I also remember you telling me every time I sit with you that I have a lot of angels around me.
When you show up,
Yeah, they're all here.
they are. They are. And so when you talk about the angels, do you sense them around you, or do you? No.
Mhm. I feel like I'm always protected.
Okay. What's
in
that
a
feel
sense,
like?
safe.
Okay.
I feel safe everywhere I go.
Okay.
So, like, people laugh and holler at me. You don't lock your car. You don't lock your door. You don't.
Wow.
I don't have fears like that. I don't know why.
You're
I'm afraid of a shark or a snake, but
Okay.
I don't
So
know
they're only
why
going to
this
protect
is-
you on land.
I
Well,
guess-
you
I
know,
don't
out of the
know.
water.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know.
And you're not taking any hikes anytime soon.
I have a pure heart. I really do.
You do. You do. And it
And-
emanates from you. And I gravitate towards people with that energy. And like I said, I just did a podcast that's going to come out about talking about energy. The people you surround yourself with energetically,
Oh,
right?
yes. Because I don't surround myself with certain people anymore. Lifelong friends, like you just described your girlfriend. Was it Sharon?
Yeah, Sharon. Yeah.
Because my girlfriend was Sharon.
Oh, okay.
Since childhood, but Sharon is a more negative person and sees the glass almost gone and puts a damper on everything. Even my cousin Donna, who I love dearly, everything's a negative. And I try to school these people. Like, it takes a lot more energy to be gloomy than it does to smile.
It does.
When you wake up every day, I mean, this might hurt or that might hurt. And I hope I can make it to the bathroom without, my back going out or something. But I'm grateful because I woke up.
Right.
Very grateful. So what's today going to bring me? I think it's going to be a good day. Sometimes they're not, but you're still grateful that you got to do it. So the people that have this negative energy, I've tried to teach them that the universe don't understand the English language.
Yeah.
It's a vibe. And if you have that negativity in you, you're going to get more negative.
Yes.
You're not getting what you want or what you hope for or what you're striving to get to if you have that negative energy. So your vibe has to be good. Even though my brain sometimes will twist it up a little. It's like,
we all have
like the
moments
little
like that.
devil back there going, get away.
Right. It's well said.
Yeah.
When people come to me and, and they're looking for some psychic advice, I see things like an iPad over your shoulder and I see dates and names superimposed within that scene. If I see things
That's when you're scribbling on that paper.
I scribble a lot. Scribble a lot. I tease it's Whoopi Goldberg meets Teresa Caputo with a dash of Tyler
I
Henry.
looked at that paper a couple times and went, what?
Yeah, I write like a doctor,
write
even
my
though I'm a
own
nurse.
now.
Right. Yeah, but when I talk about this and how you energetically bring people into your life, surround you with that positive energy, positive things happen. And I just, like I said, did a podcast about things that you could do, small changes you could make that make a huge difference incrementally over your life. And I talk about how you shift your energy and then opportunity follows. And it's kind of like dominoes. You hit one
and
then they go.
Well, re-listen to that podcast that she did. I can't wait to listen, but do it again and again until you get it.
I appreciate that.
I'm
I
serious.
really do.
I believe.
I really do.
I live that way.
When you use the advice and you take it, has there been a situation where you kicked yourself and you went, oh,
I was really hoping it was this, but it's not.
Right, exactly.
That's usually just something that monetary, like, yeah.
Right.
But no.
Okay.
No, I feel like maybe I didn't do it right or that negative thought happened and it still will come.
Okay.
I just have to keep focusing on it.
So keep your thoughts and energies positive,
on
right?
A positive. And I'll read another book or another chapter in something that I wrote that gave me more energy. like The Secret, that's so
Yeah.
old, but
No, but still.
other people wrote their books just like that.
Uh-huh.
This one woman that I did her 25th wedding renewal, and she came up from
Did
Hawaii.
I mention she's available to do weddings, by the way,
Yes.
folks? This
I
woman,
married people.
she's trained as a hairstylist. She also marries. She's an officiant.
And I'm a good person, and I'm available to date.
Okay, and available. So there you go. So tell me about the story with the
So
wedding.
She came up, and it was a double wedding up in Reading.
Oh,
And I was marrying her grandfather, who was 84 years old. I
stop.
cried so hard. It was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. But this woman had wrote this book, Living Your Own Aloha. And she wanted to give me a copy and didn't have any new ones, just hers. It was like beat up. And I
Yeah.
said, no, that's the one that I
my
want.
yeah.
I'm telling you.
Living your own
it's-
aloha. I
it
love
brings
that.
all that good stuff back. So I bought it for my next door neighbor. I bought it off of Amazon for my cousin Donna.
Mhm.
And I'm like, did you read it? Did you read it? Well, I'm getting there. I go, oh my God. Like some people you can't make be positive. It's impossible. It has to come on from within. You have to believe. Even though you don't get everything that you hope for or wish for, but you have to believe inside that there's good. You said you meditate prior to.
Oh yeah.
I've tried so many times. I'm not good at that.
Well,
I have too many things going on in my head.
and that's the part of the meditation that the mind has to be busy. So I actually did a quick little meditation with the vibrational energy where you pick you quiet down, and you could do it in the car, the shower, whatever.
The car? I
Well,
go
sure,
off the road.
listen,
I got
I
to
know
pay
you-
attention.
I didn't mean while you're actively driving,
Oh,
Susan.
okay.
Let's not make this too
Whoops,
tough.
see how I am?
No, but no, pull the car if you're parking in the parking spot, right?
Yes.
And you just take a moment, take a deep breath with your eyes open.
Oh, with your eyes open?
Yes.
Okay.
And then with your eyes closed.
On the exhale?
No, see, now you're being way too.
Oh, I'm deep.
So just take a nice deep breath. And now I want you to close your eyes. And now that TV camera in your head, picture your favorite peaceful place. I think it might be the beach, but there you go. Take another nice deep breath and take a moment to take in all the sights and the sounds of your peaceful place. Now you feel the sun on your face. And it moves down onto your chin, your shoulders, the warmth across your chest. That feeling of wellness and calm and warmth moves down through your stomach area, your hips, across the top of your legs, your kneecap, and it moves down to the calf. And then you feel the warmth of the sand and the sun on your toes. You hear the ocean. Nice deep breath. And then come back into the studio with me.
I think I failed. I felt everything. I felt the relaxation.
What were
but
you worried
the
about?
damn seagulls were really
Where
loud.
was it the seagulls?
They were loud.
It's the kids with the potato chips, right? The can of Pringles.
But I get it. I get it. So
Yeah.
I'm understanding that my idea of meditation is to clear, and you almost feel like you took a nap, but you're telling me that some thoughts will still come.
And okay, so there's
and
two.
that's okay.
Absolutely. There's two things with that. The mind always wants to keep busy. So why I'm
Especially
telling
mine.
Well, yeah. Yours is an overdrive. So that's why I'm telling you things to think and feel, because you're giving the mind something to do.
Cracking of the waves, the toes,
Right.
the sand.
And so when the
Yes.
thought comes that's not the beach, your perfect place, just wrap it in like a balloon and let it float away. Acknowledge, yes, I have that thought, and later we'll deal with it. And then
And
go
how
back.
much time do you devote to this?
Before I work, and it's different, like before I meditate with clients, I will sit for a good 10 to 15 minutes. If I'm doing an event, I'd like 20 to 30.
Mhm.
just to go
Because
deeper.
there's a lot of energy when you're doing an event, right?
Yeah. Well, yes. It's like a coliseum is what I tell
swear.
people. Everybody, you were down at my cathedral event.
Yeah. You were
and-
going from one place to another, and then half the people didn't even know it was them.
Well, some people,
You had to say a few more things about
absolutely.
who was coming. Yeah,
Absolutely.
till it registered.
And you actually bring up a good point because at that venue, they had alcohol.
Oh, yes, they did.
Alcohol will lower your vibrational energy.
Obviously, you don't drink alcohol before you do that. But
No,
the people
well,
there.
not only does it lower your vibrational energy, but also your cognitive ability to understand the connection. So if I'm going to have people that are a little slow on
There were a few that didn't know that was their family member.
that might have been one too many wines at the
Okay.
or pre-gamed. I
Okay.
never should you pre-game before you sit with me, because it clouds the mind and the connection. I worked with an amazing medium, Janet Havoc, and up at the Journey Within, which is she was a former Catholic nun who had this amazing ability of mediumship. And so through connecting with a husband and wife whose son died tragically, they actually gave her this building for her to build her spiritual center. She just was an amazing medium. But before she did events, she would have paper for the lyrics for Let It Be by the Beatles. And she would have everybody sing. Well, she used the singing in the room to lift the vibrational energy for a better connection.
Because everybody's on the same.
Yes, it's to lift.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
will pump in music into my events and pump up the music in that area prior to me doing an event. I do it in my office as well.
To get everybody lifted and
Well,
light.
or just to
and-
set the
yeah.
environment
Yeah,
of
yeah.
that energy.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I use laughter and make bad jokes. I say lovingly, right? Because that'll lift and shift the energy of it as
Laughter
well.
is healthy.
I agree. And I laugh at myself. Even though I have this ability, I prove on a daily basis I'm human. I just sit here and I go, seriously?
Don't you love it when you laugh so hard you get a 2-pack? That's my best laugh ever.
The 2-pack.
It's a 2-pack.
Yeah, the 6-pack is
Forget the 6. I
Yeah.
got a 2-pack.
But Susan, I truly think you're an amazing. I'm thrilled for your success.
Thank you.
Anything that you could share with us?
Wish I could tell you everything.
I know there's certain things you can't, but
I'll be on QVC.
What? Okay. Talk
That
to
I
me
could
about
share.
that.
Actually, I don't know when this comes out, so it's
Okay.
Saturday night,
Okay.
the 20th, but again on August 17th.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm going to present something of my own very soon.
Okay. So you're going to be
Mimi's Meatballs are coming.
no.
Yes.
Really?
Yes. Yes.
Oh my God, this is
so
wonderful.
excited about it. Yeah.
I'm thrilled for
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
It truly, I mean, great things happen to great people, and they couldn't have happened to anybody better than
They
you.
just took their time. I'm
Well,
67. I've
okay,
never worked
listen.
so hard in my life.
You're
but
gonna-
I'm grateful. Really.
Yeah, you truly, and so I'm excited for you.
Thank you.
Like
And
I
I'm
s-
excited for you.
Okay,
We got
well,
a little channel. Are we
Wait,
going to
wait,
tune into
wait.
Miss Kym?
Well, there's
Yes,
something.
that's coming.
There's something that we'll see. I
I
look at it
feel
this
it.
way.
I see it.
Oh, do you?
I do.
Okay. Well, I tell you what.
I'm going to be on it.
Well,
I mean,
okay.
I'm
Well,
coming.
Cat out of
Kym.
the bag.
I'm coming.
So
Kym.
much for a teaser, Susan. No.
Oh, shit.
No, you're fine. I'm teasing with you. No, opportunities present themselves. Everything that I've been exposed to, I've learned from, like the experience or the people,
Mhm.
and it's just part of that journey for me. And if it's put on the shelf for a little bit and it comes back down,
It's
or
okay.
I use what I've learned in another way,
Mhm.
then I'm fine with it. But I am pretty excited for
I will
both.
be too.
It's kind of
I
interesting.
have a question for you.
Go ahead.
Do you believe people come into your life for a reason
Or a
or
season.
a season,
Yes.
and there's a lesson?
Yes. Yes, I absolutely do. I believe two things: that our guides bring people into our life to open up opportunities for us,
Mhm.
and that through that experience, if you're present to be aware of that, I mean, me being here doing a podcast.
Who'd have thought?
Right. Well, it's interesting, right? It's funny. People ask me if I predict for myself.
Yeah. I always
And
wonder, do you know what's going to happen for you?
I, thank God, have people around me who pay attention and write this stuff down because I had investigated doing a podcast before the pandemic. I knew the equipment. I knew what I needed. And sure enough, here I am.
Perfect timing.
Later, with me moving here, it's so convenient.
And the new space is lovely.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. If I sit here and tell you everything that's happened in the last 18 months where this person came into my life, and then I met, like, for instance, the person that did my website. Well, from that person, I met the person who does my videos. And from that person, right? So it's
I get it.
and that's the part that if you're present, if you treat people with kindness, everyone's got a story, everyone's got issues that they're dealing with.
Just pause and listen.
And just pause. Exactly.
Yes.
But I've been very blessed at the things that are coming to me, and I'm excited for both of us. And I can't thank you enough for sitting with me. I want to end this like I always do with a mediumship moment.
Okey-doke.
So do you have a mediumship moment that you can remember with me or with my mom about a communication with someone?
My brother, Michael, the first time I ever met you. And ladies and gentlemen, I thought she was a little weird because she was sitting across the table from me and her eyes are going above my head going, ooh, oh, by all means, you're well. And I'm looking at her like, what are you doing? And she said, I'm sorry, Susan, someone's here. And I'm looking and she said, that shaved head, those arms, oh my goodness, he's built. And she went to tell me the word Mike, and she paused right in the middle of Mike. And he spoke to her. I always called my brother Michael, and she said, oh, she's still looking up in the air at this. Nothing to me. I can't see anything. And she said, I'm sorry, Michael is here. And it's my brother. She described my brother to a T.
Aww.
And I love you, Michael. You're probably here now because you're her friend, I think.
We chat often. Yes, we do. Well, thank you, Susan, for coming and chatting with me and talking about all of our past history.
I could go on for days.
Listen, you're welcome anytime.
Thank you.
And again, as I always sign off, keep chatting with your angels because they can hear you.
Thank you. I will. Mwah.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe. See you next time for another episode of Mediumship Moments. If you enjoyed this episode of Kym's podcast, check her out on Instagram and TikTok at Kym Durham Medium.